What's up, internet people? Welcome to Rafa's Toy Studio, the place where I get to talk about those toys that, guess what, everybody should check out. And right now, at this very moment, if you are watching, I'm about to talk about some toys that I really care about. Specifically, who doesn't love superheroes? Whether you're a DC fan, a Marvel fan, or any other kind of fan specifically, superheroes are a big part of what we have now. If you've seen my other videos, I've talked about superheroes. If you follow my podcast, This New Machine, I've talked about superheroes. I have comic books, I've seen movies, whether it's animated, in person, doesn't matter, I love it. And a big part of that comes from the fact that, superheroes are things that we strive to be. We want to be those Spider-Man and those Iron Man and those Wolverines that are going out and saving the world. But, we can't because we don't have powers. And if we tried, we might die. Depending. It really doesn't matter. But ultimately, what I want to share with you today are some heroes that I think are very important. Not just for heroes in general, but also for, what they've done in the future for what we're going to continue to see, basically. Here I have my Avengers characters from the first movie that Joss Whedon, brought to us. Marvel Phase 1, the Avengers, group. Specifically here, I got the Big Four: Cap, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, and of course I got Hawkeye and Black Widow that were part of the first film. And I want to share these toys because all of them in some way, I already did the Justice League in Series 1, so I thought it'd be only fair to do the Avengers. And please, I understand these aren't the original concepts of the Avengers, we don't got Wasp, we don't got Ant-Man, and that's fine. Some people argue like, oh, Captain America, he wasn't part of it, whatever. I just want to showcase the ones that came from the movie because I feel that by Marvel creating this film, we've opened up, Phase 2, Phase 3. Now DC is making these very big, action movies to create the Justice League film. And I think it's opened so many doors to show how a superhero movie can be very successful. And so I really want to share these. And besides that, these characters are just really fucking cool. So please sit back, enjoy, and let's talk about my Marvel Diamond Select and Marvel Legends Avengers action figures. I have a lot of Iron Man toys. I'm not gonna lie. I have a lot of them. I think they're really cool. They move very well. They can do whatever you need them to do. They're very articulate. And they're just giant android robot machines that are really cool to have. And the fact that, Tony Stark is behind that, who was basically Robert Downey Jr., is pretty sick. Specifically here, I have my Marvel Iron Man, Marvel Legends, Mark 42 figure. And so this is the toy specifically from the Iron Man films. I believe from Iron Man 2. I might be wrong. I'm sorry if I am. But I really, really enjoy this suit. I like the way that it looks, specifically less on the red, more on kind of the sheen gold utilizing there. And I think that's really cool. The face mold is really good, specifically looking like Iron Man, that iconic robot face. And like I said, the color scheme is really nice. I really like this toy. Compared to my other action figures, I think Iron Man is one of those that I really liked. Kind of, I think, not necessarily the Batman to the Marvel Universe by any means, but kind of shares some similarities, Man tries to make the world a better place, has his own demons, whatever you want to call it. But I think Iron Man is a really cool hero. Always been one of my favorite in the Marvel Universe. And this toy really does him justice. You can utilize him to do a couple different things. Again, very articulate, very detailed, very fun to play with. This is a toy that you can, have your kids play with because, again, he's very movable, he's very versatile, and more importantly, he's very durable. You can use him to play with, and I think that's important. But regardless, whenever we're talking about the Avengers, he brought them all together, and I think that's very important. We couldn't have had the Marvel MCU without Tony Stark's Iron Man. Here we have Marvel's Diamond Select Avengers Age of Ultron movie Hulk action figure. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a lot of toy. He's heavy, he's durable. This is a lot of plastic. I've never liked the Marvel Select action figures because a lot of times when I pick them up, they're either they have this weird gloss to them, a little bit slippery. The joints move either not well enough or they just kind of move too much. But with the Diamond Select toys, specifically these Avengers ones, they're perfect. I love the Hulk. I remember going to Target as a little kid and wanting to play Hulk Ultimate Destruction on the demos or whatever that game was called and just destroying everything. It was so much fun. You could destroy cars, break buildings, throw people. It was one of those games kind of on the same as Spider-Man where you can just kind of web sling all day. In this case, you could just punch things all day. This action figure is awesome for the simple fact that it stands at about 10 feet tall. Here is my Iron Man for scale, right? God damn, that's a lot of toy. And more importantly, he has the exact likeness to the Avengers Hulk. Let me put you right there. Look at that. Look at this detail. The paint is nice. The shadow is good. Someone took their time when they built this toy. And the fact that he's just so durable, so heavy, I mean, he can take punishment, you know? This is one of those toys that is just utilized for almost anything you need. Great likeness to the Hulk. Great likeness to Mark Ruffalo's Hulk, which I think is very important. The only thing about this toy that's interesting is here it has like this weird little plastic growth. Which isn't supposed to be part of the toy, but it gives my Hulk character. But again, lots of movability, has a lot of movement, specifically in the joints, and he's got a face that only a mother could love. Diamond Select does it again with Marvel's Diamond Select Avengers Age of Ultron movie Thor action figure. Look at this beautiful, regal, sophisticated Thor Odinson. I love this toy. I've never been a big fan of Thor necessarily in any of his comic book adaptations, but in the movie, I feel Chris Hemsworth really made him likable, and kind of, you know, this whole look specifically with the cape, you know, his arms ready to kind of battle bear. I like the design in his chest plate, and specifically in the face. I mean, the likeness to the character is just amazing. I mean, these toys bring out great likeness, and the fact that he has Mjolnir right here just ready to throw it as necessary. I really liked Chris Hemsworth in the movie specifically. Thor, the original movie, I thought was okay. It had some really funny moments, you know, just as another moment, but ultimately, I think this toy really does justice to the character. And when I'm talking about the Avengers and I'm talking about, you know, the big four, I'm very excited that I can add this one to the collection. His movability is great. He's very durable, kind of like the Hulk. He's a little bit bigger than the other action figures. Again, here's my Iron Man for scale, which is, again, a really good likeness to the actual film and the comic incantations. But in this case, I'm very excited to have him as part of the collection. With Thor Ragnar coming out soon, I really wonder if these two are going to end up fighting or if they're going to be buddies. I'm not 100% sure. People always talk about how these two will have a really epic fight, which I think could be pretty cool, and in the Avengers, they really showcase some really good aspects of it. But considering that these are two very durable toys, I mean, these are perfect to kind of have and necessarily play with as necessary. You know, they don't get hurt, which I really like. Again, the durability is good, but the articulation is just as important. And Thor's cape looks really nice, so it doesn't really get damaged, even if, you know, you have somebody kicking it or trying to break it. So these toys, again, very, very fun to play with. Scarlett Johansson did such a great job as the Black Widow. Here I have my Captain America, the Winter Soldier, Marvel Legends Infinite Series, Build-A-Figure, Black Widow. And I must say, I'm a big fan of this toy. Again, the likeness to Scarlett Johansson's face right there is perfect. That's her from the movie specifically. The skin-tight suit is done very, very well. Very tactical in appearance. Looks like just the suit that she wears in specifically the Winter Soldier. She comes with two different heads. Here, I'm utilizing her right now from, again, her cut in the Winter Soldier, but she also comes with another head that she utilizes specifically when she's in the Avengers film. I really like this toy. I think she's a great addition to my Avengers League specifically, especially through the movie. Her character was never anything super special to me necessarily. I think I was too hyped up on, you know, again, the big four, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, and Hulk, you know, all being in the film. But what Scarlett Johansson did very well was she was able to kind of bring that human feel to it, and I think that was very important. I really like this action figure because, again, she brings a lot of that human spirit to the actual film, but more to the action figures as well. A lot of articulation in this toy, a lot of joints. She can utilize it whatever way you really want her to do. She comes with a different couple of hands. She doesn't necessarily come with this machine gun, but I thought this is a good machine gun to kind of showcase the things that she can do. But overall, very good toy. Maybe not for kids. It's very kind of flimsy in certain areas. Like, it's very thin, specifically in the legs and in the arms. So I feel like she could break if you play with her too much. But again, if you play with her too much, that's fine. That's what toys are for. If she breaks, buy a new one. Like Black Widow, I felt that in the Avengers, Hawkeye was also just as important. I mean, again, didn't really care for him when he was introduced in Thor, but in this movie, even though he had kind of a more of a small role, arguably, I felt that when he was utilized correctly, especially in all of his dialogue with Scarlett Johansson, I thought Jeremy Renner did a really great job and really got me invested in this character. Here specifically, oh god, how much I wish that I had the Diamond Select Toys Jeremy Renner Hawkeye action figure, specifically from the movie, but I don't. And so I have the next best thing, which I think is just as cool, if not better, and that's also the Marvel Legends Avengers Infinite Series Marvel's Hawkeye 6-inch action figure. Now, this is the common Hawkeye that you see in the comic book, specifically all clad in purple, which was, the badass look of the day. And overall, this figure is also really cool because he's also part of the Build-A-Figure line, so by buying him, you also get a piece of the All-Father, which is pretty rad. What I like about this toy is kind of like with Black Widow, lots of points of articulation, very muscled, has a lot of movement, comes with arrows that can be clasped off of his back, and of course he has a standard bow. But whenever he's not using the bow, he also has plenty of articulation in the arms and in the legs, and I think this comic book version does the figure a lot of good. Again, you have more of that classic Avengers style that you're really utilizing, and you can even put a gun in his hand if you wanted to kind of showcase some of his other talents. Though I don't have the Diamond Select version of this action figure, which one day I probably will get, I really enjoy this action figure because, again, he's a good description and a good homage to the original character, specifically going back to the comic book, which I think is very important. And I think in a big lesson is when you want to complete a set, even though I don't have all of the necessarily Avengers from the movie, you do with what you have, and I think that's very important, and an action figure is an action figure. This is Hawkeye, and this Hawkeye is just as relevant as any other, and I think he's a wonderful addition to the collection. Pick him up. He's a lot of fun to play with. And of course, you couldn't complete the Avengers without the one and only Steve Rogers, Captain America. And I think one of the first Captain Americas I ever bought was the Captain America Marvel Legends Infinite Series Marvel Now Captain America figure. Like Hawkeye, this is the one straight from the comic book, specifically part of the Marvel Now line of comic books that came out a couple years ago. I really like this cap because this is a cap with a mean mug on his face. This cap isn't going to take anybody's shit. He's very colorful, specifically in the American flag, with the reds, whites, and blues, and the shield is pretty nice. It's shiny, it's good. Nice. I mean, it's not made out of the metal, but it's still pretty sweet. And, he has his little head wing specifically painted onto the helmet. So, again, more of that iconic look that you have from the movie, more of a modern take on Captain America, which I think is very important. His movability is great. He can crouch over with the best of them. He's ready to fight whenever he needs to, depending who he's going to fight and why they're going to fight. But also, just as importantly, the detail specifically to the comic book is very important. The only gripe I have about this toy specifically is that normally the shield can go on the back, but I broke it. So he can never put his shield on his back again. And, I mean, that's fine. He can just hold it in his arms because he's totally, ultimately badass. And with that, that's not the only Captain America I have, but I also have my Captain America, the Winter Soldier, Marvel Legends Infinite Series Captain America action figure. I really like this toy on a couple of different levels as well. This is more of the iconic look that you have from the movies. More of a downplayed look. Again, more combat style, stealth, ready to go in. Specifically from the Winter Soldier opening sequence where he's going out and, fighting George St. Pierre, which was pretty awesome. Also very articulate in the way that he can move. Different from my other cap in the sense that he's not as colorful, not as comic book cartoony. But again, good likeness to the character from the actual film. And I mean, I loved Captain America in the movie. I thought they did a very good job of doing him justice in the sense that, he has all the great ideals, but he's very likable. He's a down-to-earth New Yorker who's ready to fight, and I think that's very important. I'm very excited to have this toy because, like all the other ones, it's very important to complete the set. We need to be able to, kind of have fun with these because just like the Justice League, who I love very much, I also really like the Avengers. And I understand that the movie Disney Avengers aren't necessarily the original creation or representation, mind you, of the Avengers, but they're still a really cool larger than life, brought to the big screen chance for young kids and, fans of the movies themselves to really experience this. And I think that's very important. Marvel did a really good job, and I'm very excited to have this toy. Enjoy the things that you like. Again, no one can be happy besides yourself. And again, if that means collecting action figures or playing with toys, you know what? Do it. In this case, I have just shared my Disney's Marvel film, The Avengers, that was very successful. I've shared my action figures with those heroes because I think that they're very important. The MCU started off because they wanted to put the Avengers together. And Joss Whedon, you did a great job. I love this movie. I love these heroes. And now, with Phase 2 and Phase 3 that are coming up, we're adding so many more characters, like the Winter Soldier, like Falcon, like Vision, like Ant-Man, new Spider-Man. Hell yeah, I'm down. But again, enjoy these toys, all of them. Again, the likeness is so nice. You can recreate these stories. You can have fun with these characters. You can put them on your shelves and look at them for all I care. But enjoy what you do. Enjoy what you have. Though nothing fills me with more joy than being able to put Hulk outside of the house and just take pictures of him just rampaging through anthills. Or nothing is more fun than just kind of having my Tony Stark by my office and just kind of looking behind those dead, cold, metallic blue eyes and just go, yep, that's Tony Stark. I love these toys. So please, always enjoy the things that you like because, nobody else can for you. So check out The Avengers if you haven't seen the movie. Check out the comic books also. Those are really good. But most importantly, besides checking those things out, enjoy your life. And more importantly, enjoy the plastic.